my original question is basically, doesn't that mean next generation is only going to be even more expensive because of everything we just talked about?
Absolutely, yeah.
I recently had the opportunity to sit down and have a conversation with two other tech YouTubers, Taekwondo and Tech Yes City. Chances are you've probably heard of Tech Yes City. He's been around for quite some time now, and he has over 600,000 subscribers here on YouTube. And I'm very grateful that he took the time out of his very busy schedule to sit down and have a conversation with me. Now, a lot of that isn't thanks to Taekwondo. Taekwondo became a subscriber of the channel some time back. We got to going back and forth in the comment section, and ultimately that's led to a pretty good friendship. And honestly, it's through him that I got to meet Tech Yes City. So anyway, both guys are incredibly awesome, and I highly recommend both of their YouTube channels, which I will have linked down below. This is not my normal content. I figured I would take a break from all the back-to-back GPU stuff. I'm currently benchmarking the 5090, 9070 XT, and 5070, and I have dedicated reviews coming out on all three of those cards. But in the meantime, let this serve as a little bit of a buffer, and let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do you want to see more content like this? Yes or no? I will be reading all the comments and engaging. Please be nice, keep it positive, and just keep in mind, this is just three tech YouTubers sitting down and having a random conversation, because that's pretty much what it was. Anyway, I hope you enjoy, and I'll see you in the comment section below.
The cedar.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
I saw your last video. I almost suggested, should we all wear shades tonight? You know,
I literally put them right here.
I mean, mine's upstairs. I'll go grab them real quick if you want.
Yeah, I mean, look, man, look. We can do a live
Okay,
stream,
all right.
fine. Grab your shade.
All right, cool. Y'all talk for a second. I'm gonna go grab mine. Y'all talk.
Go ahead. Yeah. What's up, man?
Yeah, not much, dude. Just been crazy with all the new products coming out. It's just been nuts. So yeah, just been busy, just benchmarking, more benchmarking, everything. So
I know you and E-Rock are like on that end of stuff. I'm just like doing the budget PC stuff, and I'm seeing everyone like sweating right now. I'm like, damn.
Well, the good news is it's almost over. Like there's it's almost finished. So there'll be, I think, like the 9950X 3Ds coming up soon.
Yeah.
And then you've got the RTX, I think 4060 and 4060 Ti. And then I think AMD is not going to launch another GPU because of silicon allocation, dude. Silicon allocation.
Yeah, TSMC is like loaded up.
Yeah, exactly. No one can get the good stuff. Hey,
you look good, E-Rock.
I appreciate it. These are the only ones I could buy that I didn't look like a complete idiot.
Oh, you got the aviators too. Yeah, everyone just needs a pair of aviators, dude.
Aviators work, man.
Yeah. Should I put mine on? I don't know.
Go for it.
Yeah.
All right. This is the stream vibe, I guess.
Dude, this is what we're doing.
Nice.
We're gonna get laughed at so hard. I don't care.
That's fine. That's fine.
Well, I mean, I've got a legit excuse. Like my
no,
eyes
you do.
look like I've been smoking weed all day, and I'm hydrated. Like it's seriously, hey, people. It's like I'll get those questions. Like, has this dude been smoking chronic weed? And that's
funny, man.
It's like, okay,
dude. So I've been killing myself to get some of these benchmarks done, because like I don't do this full time and I want to, right? And so when I get review samples, I want to honor that and try to hit the embargo. And I have yet to hit an embargo. The closest I got was the 9070. I hit embargo day, but not time. So I missed the 9 a.m. cutoff, but I got it out around like 1 or 2 p.m.
They're not too strict. They're not too strict on that, dude. Like I've missed by a couple of days at worst. It's usually as long as you get it out like within 24 hours, they're pretty cool. They don't care so much.
Yeah. And but doing that, so like I didn't sleep for like I was up for 34 hours finishing the video. And in some of my comments, sometimes people are like, this guy looks angry and tired. I said, angry? No. Tired? Very much. Because people see it on the face. I get to the final section of the video and it's like final thoughts, and I'm just checked out half the time, man.
And you still get called a shill too at the end of the day.
Oh no, you do. You do. You do.
Oh man.
Take this off for a little bit.
I'm gonna take mine off too. It's a little too dark in my room.
A little dark.
Ryan, it's just you, buddy. But
all right, just me on the aviators.
It's a little dark. Well, Brian, man, thank you so much, man, for well, first of all, thank you for everything, dude. You've been super friendly and kind and helpful to the channel, going all the way back to my Intel latency issues. And then the other day, I really needed those 5070 drivers, and you came through for me. I gave you a shout out in my video. I was like, dude, I couldn't have these couple of benchmarks if it wasn't for Tech Yes City. So I definitely wanted to give you some credit for that, man. And just by coincidence, I met Kyle a long time ago and we've been talking and he's like, yeah, I know Brian really well. I'm like, no way, really? So that just a small world. But thank you, man, so much for your time and coming on here.
Oh, yeah, man. Like, I wouldn't expect any different from you guys. That's what I mean. Like, when I see the demeanor you guys show off, it's like, that's exactly kind of bro I want to talk to, you know what I mean? And hang around. Yeah, dude. So straight up.
Yeah, man. I was telling E-Rock, I was like, yeah, I met Brian because like I talked to him for a while, and then one day I was like, hey man, I stole a bunch of your content. Like you remember the Intel video a while ago? I was like, yeah, I kind of used a bunch of your stuff, and you're like, oh, that's fine. And I was like, oh, he's really chill about it.
As long as you're telling me, you know what I mean? Yeah, that's the main thing, right? As long as I'm not like watching some dude's video and going, hey, you just stole all my content.
Tell me, dude. That was crazy. That was a crazy time period. I'm glad something came of it too. Like the whole Intel latency and stability problems. Like,
yeah,
man.
Brian, I think you were the first person I think on the internet talking about that, right?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I noticed how bad it was, man. I was like, this thing is horrible, dude. I'm trying to do my work on it, and I'm like, dude, I don't remember Adobe Premiere Pro being this bad, like this choppy, sloppy, trying to load things in. So then I switched back to Windows 10. The issue was still there, but it was a little bit better. So I was like, okay, Windows 11 is probably part of the problem. But then, Windows 10 didn't really fix it. So I was like, no, it's got to be the CPU. Went back to a 10900K. All my problems were fixed.
Yeah. And then when you're the first person to discover something like that, everybody in the world is like, user error, your problem, you know? That's why I went digging, because when I had my issues, last thing I wanted to do was make a video, and especially with my channel being so much, smaller than yours, for example, I didn't want to put it out there and like kill myself before I had a chance to grow. And so I found your videos and I watched everything you had on it. And then I saw Kyle's videos, and then I saw Danny Z's videos, which normally Danny Z would be here with us, shout out to him. And then I was like, okay, so I got 3 people that I watch, I respect. It's not just me. So I went forward with it and, made my content on it, and then contacted, Danny and Kyle as well. And, but yeah, no, that's a crazy situation. So what are you using right now? Are you back on the 10900K still?
Yep. So back on it just because I had PCIe. I had so many PCIe riser issues on, the 9800 X3D. Just had heaps of issues, man.
With the 50 series?
With the mini ITX, I couldn't get it to work. It worked fine on my test bed. Like everything worked fine on my test bed with no riser. But then I tried 2 different PCIe Gen 4 risers, tried 2 different motherboards, and it was like the exact same issue. It just wouldn't boot properly. I mean, it might have been that black screen issue, but I just don't see how a riser itself would just cause the black screen issue.
I've noticed some funny stuff. So I just picked up a 5090, and when I go to log into Windows, Danny Z actually also said this. Basically, my keyboard and stuff like won't work, and it's
Nvidia App garbage. Card. It's the Nvidia App. It's not actually the card. It's Nvidia App. Yes, I've uninstalled the Nvidia App. I even did a system restore just to test it out. So the Nvidia App will be still installed on your PC, and then it just won't work.
Yeah,
but your PC's working absolutely.
I have noticed that it does stop working like randomly. Yeah,
it's the Nvidia App, dude. I've told Nvidia about this. I'd like just let me use the GeForce experience because I thought it was so much better, and I just want to hit F8 on my keyboard. Like I like having the fact that I can just hit F8 and the things in the background it all boots up with Windows, and then I can shadow play for my work. Like it's a really good feature. But then if AMD were able to hotkey just straight. Because I hate hitting control. I don't want to hit control and F8 at the same time because it's like I'm using one hand on the mouse. You know what I mean? So it's just like this little things like that where if AMD just made a direct hotkey like Nvidia could with shadow play, I'd even try switching to AMD again, give it another chance. But the Nvidia app is definitely causing a lot of issues right now. And just uninstall it and then see if your issues go away.
I'll give that a shot.
Complete uninstall though, not like don't mess around with like just do the Revo uninstaller or something like that. Try that and just completely get rid of it. Then come back to me and tell me if it's working or not. Because I tried uninstalling it, but then I need it. The problem is I need it for shadow play. So
that sucks. It sucks. Yeah. So if you email them and you're like, hey, can I get like a press version of GeForce Experience? Will they send that to you?
Well, it doesn't work with 5000 series, and I've tried doing all these little like put in a 4000 series card. It just doesn't detect it. So it doesn't detect the 5000 series. So
they're trying to look like AMD. They're just trying to look like AMD's app.
Dude, this is like the 5000 series. My biggest complaint my personal biggest complaint is the fact that it doesn't feel like an Nvidia launch. It just feels so sloppy and bug ridden, and it's not like the Nvidia with 4000 or 3000 series launch where there might have been like a minor issue or something. It's just so different now. Like it's like this feels like the sloppiest launch from Nvidia, and yeah, people are like, oh man, but aren't you like an Nvidia Pro user? It's like I use them in my main system, but it's not going to stop me from just telling it how it is. Like,
Right? Yeah, for sure.
I don't care about these brands, man. They don't cook me breakfast, you know. They don't do other things for me after the lights go out. Let's put it that way. So I have no reason to care at all. So, but the Nvidia app, man, just uninstall it. Let me know how you go if that fixes your. Because
dude, I'll do that.
When it's when my PC goes to sleep and it wakes up, it'll just. I even showed it on one of my videos. It's just like crazy lag.
I've experienced that too. Yeah, like super hangups and stuff like that.
Yeah, driver
I almost
issues.
thought I thought my Intel issues were coming back. I was like, no.
I'll tell you too. Nvidia did just release a driver update for the black screen. Apparently, it's marked as 3 days ago, but I never got notified about it. Like the Nvidia app never told me. And then so a friend texted me today and he said, "Hey, did you see the update?" And so I thought it was today's update, and I went to download it, and it said, like March 5th or whatever. How did I not know this was a thing? So and if you read the description, it says black screen fixed issue or whatever. And then there was another update there too. So I installed it. I don't know. We'll see what happens. So
oh damn. Yeah, I mean there's I think there's even another one now just released, the 0.75.
Okay.
So yeah, they're trying to just push out these hot fixes one after the other when they need to just get it right, eh?
Yeah.
I think again, a lot of it has to do with the Nvidia app. I think it's too invasive now. I think it's got too much telemetry built in. And yeah, like at this point in time, if you don't need the Nvidia app, I'd just recommend keeping it off.
Yeah. It sucks though that if you need to use like Shadowplay or something, then
that's the thing that sucks.
Yeah, I typically I very rarely record locally, and if I do, then I'm typically just using OBS. But I also have like a secondary system set up with a capture card for like gameplay, where I'll capture all the gameplay, and I'll either capture that way or I'll capture from there to here. It depends on what I'm doing, but that's all. But it's not a convenient setup at all. I got wires and cables everywhere. It sucks.
Yeah, it's a mess.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, Erock, since you're usually like the host on this, even though we've only done it 2 times.
This is the second time.
I was like, maybe we should jump into the AMD stuff right away, and because I really want to ask Brian this, because I remember a while ago you posted a video about how like you did your mini ITX system, and I think you had like a 7900 XTX in it, and you took it out. It was like a day later, and you were like, "This thing was a mess." Yeah. So here's the question: like with the new stuff, is that better? Because I also had this experience with the 7900 GRE about a year ago. Whenever it came out, I had it for about a month, and I tried using it, and it was like pretty bad in DaVinci and other things that I was doing professionally, right? And so I kind of gave up on it too. I'm wondering, like, with this new stuff, the 9070, 9070 XT, how is that, are those going to be better now? There was a lot of talk between, what's that guy's name? Epos Vox?
Epos Vox, yeah.
Epos Vox, yeah. He did like a video.
The stream man.
Yeah.
He did a video. Professor or stream doctor, one of those.
Yeah, stream.
I linked it in our Discord, the video talking about the encoders being better, but then AV1 kind of sucking. So yeah, I was just wondering what your opinion is. And
so at this point in time, don't encode in AV1 for editing. It's just you're going to be in for a nightmare. Even H.265, I just record H.264 because I just have too many problems with the other variants that you're recording those, and that just you get just issues after issue after issue. So yeah, the main goal there is like, okay, does the footage, for me it was mainly their version, what is it, the Adrenaline, what do they call their shadow play?
I don't know what they call it.
Radeon,
Relive.
Relive was just not working properly. It'd capture FPS that was variated, and so it would be all over the place. It would just be like my videos would be having desync and sync issues, and I was just like, wow, I can't do this. Like,
so you never found a fix or anything on it?
There was apparently people like, oh, you got to set it to CBR, and then it's like I changed that and I still had issues. So I just really gave up, and after a day I was like, man, my whole recording is like completely toast.
Yeah, I remember you were having like audio popping issues and stuff.
Yeah. People could see that in the video, and that was all. Like, I was just like, man,
I had the exact same thing. I was having like audio popping issues and stuff, And since then, like, and this kind of goes back to the whole like, all right, I do very similar to what you do, Brian. Like, I've literally learned from your channel over the years. I'll sell PCs and I'll say like, hey, you want professional stuff? Like, what are you doing? If you're going to be like doing a lot of gaming, AMD straight up great value stuff like the 6700 XT, you know, all those mid-range cards from AMD are always awesome. And so they're easy to recommend for people. But when it comes to professional use and even like streaming, when people are like, I really want to stream, I'm like, should get an Nvidia card. The encoders are just like, they've always been better, like to stream on, you know? So, yeah, I'm just wondering if like I don't have hands on with the new stuff. Like you guys both have it, but I'm curious to how that, you know, ends up being.
I want to give it a go. Like, I just don't have time at the moment. Again, I just don't have time. Zero time to mess around with that stuff, dude. It's like, yeah, there's just so many things that can happen. If I lose a whole project, I could be out a couple of days. I just don't have a couple of days to spare at the moment between.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe when I get back to Oz, I might.
I'm the same way. So I told you, Kyle, a long time ago that I was planning on doing like a 30-day AMD challenge, and but I was gonna do it I was gonna do it like my way, where it's like over the top, where it's like every time I log onto my PC, it's like a log entry where I'm like, hey, today's day 5 of using AMD as my full time, and people won't be able to make the claim like, oh, you forgot or you misremembered. It's like, no, I made an entry every day, and on that day the system crashed, or on that day this happened, right? So I don't know. I mean, you know me, you know my content. I would polish it. I would keep the pace going. It wouldn't be boring or whatever. It wouldn't be a lot of dead air. But anyway, yeah, 30-day AMD challenge is definitely something I'm interested in doing at some point. To wrap back around and answer your question, Taekwondo. We went off.
Like, why does it have to be a 30-day challenge? Like, for me, it was a 1-day challenge. Like,
it was
yeah. Like, fuck it, I'm done.
Yeah. Sure. I think because, well, number one, title, it looks good in the title. It performs well, 30 days with this or whatever. Like if I just say like 4 days with this card, I don't know, that it doesn't have the same pop to it. But you've been doing this longer than me, so maybe you know better. I don't know.
I know. Yeah, I get what you mean. 30-day challenge. Yeah, true. Yeah. I guess that's one way. You always got to think of the title, right? I guess that's the most important thing.
Yeah. Title and thumbnail. I'll say this: the videos that have done the best for me are the ones where I actually follow, I guess, the YouTube guru advice, where you don't even make the video if you can't come up with the title and thumbnail first. Yeah. And there's so many videos, like 90% of my videos is the opposite. I make the content, and then at the end, I'm like, okay, what do I title this and what do I thumbnail it?
I'm always like that, dude.
Yeah. That's how I do most of my content. I'm like, make the content, then worry about the thumbnail and the title. But according to the powers that be, I guess, like, you're supposed to just think about that stuff beforehand, and if you can't capture it, then alter the content. And the couple of times I've done that, the videos have done incredibly well. So maybe there's something to it. It's not my go-to de facto. That's just not what I do.
Me neither, man. It's not genuine, dude. Like, it's not. Just, I'm making content because I want to make these videos for people. Yeah. That's how I started YouTube. So it's like, I mean, this is what pisses me off about Nvidia and AMD. It's kind of like their homage is gone. You know what I mean? Like, they're just focusing on that business to business right now. Like, get stuffed, gamers. You guys can deal with it.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much in a nutshell. I got to make my big pricing video update, because things are a lot worse than people think they are right now. I think the bigger tech channels think it's still business as usual. Like, that's how oblivious these guys are to the market right now, thinking like, oh, AMD can price down the 9070 XT to 549. As soon as I went to Tokyo and saw the shelves, I was like, oh, there is no way this thing is coming under, like, if they do 599, it'll be a blessing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Like, they'll never for that.
Yeah. If they could do 599, it'll be a blessing. And that's why when I heard they were doing it in my review, I'm like, look, drop the burrito, go get one at MSRP if you can, because they're not going to last. They're not going to last long at all. Like, it'll be gone. And when they're gone, the prices are going to go up. It's that simple. Yeah. So like, I'm just telling people based on just, experience as a buyer myself. And I managed to, like, ironically, I managed to snag a 5080 on launch day, which was lucky.
That is really lucky.
That's very lucky.
And it was in Australia, it was at MSRP. So I was like one of the very select few people to get one. And that was waking up the next day, just seeing something and not hesitating. Like, this one company decided the next day that they'd just put a heap of stock up. And I was like, buy, no hesitation, buy, 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 buy,
Yeah.
buy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's, yeah. So
Yeah,
it
dude.
all started, this whole problem started as soon as the 5000 series launched. You knew there was a big issue because all the
Yeah.
old 4000 series stock dried up way too quick as well.
Mhm.
Like
It's 'cause
4080 supers were then gone like straight away as well.
Yeah, it's because they pushed it out so far. I mean, like usually we were seeing this around the holiday season, you know. Where
Mhm.
I was saying to in the last episode that I think the 5000 series is going to be like a really short card lineup. You know, like we're going to see it for a year and a half, and then they're going to be back to August, September timeline, and then launching stuff by the holiday season. That's what I would guess, anyways. I don't know. You know,
No, I think you're right on point there. Yeah, it'll be
Yeah.
one of the shortest generations of cards for sure, dude. Yeah.
yeah.
That makes total sense. And then they'll be on the 3 nanometer TSMC or whatever it is by then.
So,
Yeah.
so question for you guys on that. So you brought up pricing, you brought up 3 nanometers. So, okay, so correct me if I'm wrong, but if prices are bad now, wouldn't they only get worse as they continue to go down the stack? 4 nanometer, the 3 nanometer, the 2 nanometer, because that progressively becomes more costly, right?
What do you mean? Like, what can you? So you're saying is they're not using new silicon until the next gen launches?
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like with okay, so I'll just give you the full details. And all right, so back up.
Yeah.
So I did my 5070 Ti video, and one of the big things I was kind of harping on was the fact that Nvidia said 750, not really 750. Most of the models $800-900 to $1,000. The model I had in particular was from Asus Tough Gaming. Great card. It was great performing. It's $1,000, and that's Asus's official MSRP. They're like, this is our card, and this is what we're pricing it at. I'm like, okay, that's a 5080 price. So I dinged it for that. Well, then afterwards, Asus brought up we had a call. And they brought up a lot of things that they said I wasn't really considering. I said, okay, sure, enlighten me. And a couple of things they brought up was, one, wafer costs over the years have progressively gotten more and more expensive. And they talked about how basically nobody covers that except for Tom's Hardware. They were covering it for a while. And
like, is he talking about the PCB cost, the actual, just the weight, like, or the silicon, just the silicon itself?
Probably.
I think he was talking about silicon. Yeah.
So the silicon has gone up in price. Yes, that is true. Like,
Yeah.
definitely true. Like, they're not lying there. That's gone up. And then
Yeah.
of course everything in the pipeline has gone up. You
Yeah.
use how people judge a video card nowadays is actually very different to kind of how they should judge it. Like, people are saying, oh, it's a 192-bit bus. It's a 4070 is a 4060 Ti or something. And it's like, well, look at the TDP. That's one thing you need to look at.
Yeah.
Because
I actually agree with that.
That's burning a lot more power than a traditional 60 Ti card burned in the past, man. If we go back to a 660 Ti, that thing burned 120 watts. It was.
Yep.
Now you could just get away with so much cheaper componentry on that because you didn't have to push much power through it. So, yeah, sure, you had a bit bus and a piece of silicon, but everything else, the cooler size, the power, the VRM, the structure of the card, it needed to it needs to get more expensive naturally.
Yeah.
So it's really TSMC's the biggest innovator here because they're pushing nodes that can be so small yet pump so much power through them.
Yeah.
And they are the bottleneck at the same time,
Yeah, exactly. So it's
Yeah.
but sorry, Erock, keep going.
Oh, no. It was just, so we talked about wafer costs just getting more expensive over the years. And then we talked about how, okay, well, everyone, like TSMC is pretty much the only player in town with 4 nanometer is what they told me. So if that's not accurate, let me know. But then also everyone who wants to use that, they only have one place to go. And so it's not just Nvidia trying to use 4 nanometer. It's also AMD. It's also Apple. It's also any other company fill in the blank. And so now you have one supplier, all of this demand. So that supplier is going to charge a lot more because they can, right? I mean, that's just how markets work, right? And so, and then that same trend would continue as you go from 4 nanometer to 3 nanometer to 2 nanometer. And so let's say Nvidia 6000 series comes out, right? And they're saying it's going to be 3 nanometer. I'm just, hypothetically. Okay, well, if people are complaining about this generation being expensive, my original question is basically, doesn't that mean next generation is only going to be even more expensive because of everything we just talked about?
Absolutely, yeah. Inflation as well. Like everything, things don't go down in price, man. Things are only going up in price. Now the problem here is that it's not just that. Like, you're not just looking at the fact that everyone's just focused on TSMC right now. You've also got the fact that economies of scale it's just reached its peak for this kind of process.
Yeah.
In that they've got a factory a certain size. they've just reached peak efficiency for that factory, which is why they're building another factory, and then they're going to build another factory. But the bottom line is your factories haven't been able to produce more silicon now per factory unit for a few years. So your economies of scale has reached its peak, in my opinion. I don't know exact figures, but your economy of scale is maxed out, and then you've just got inflation left over. And that's why inflation now is getting so much worse, because of all this peaking in economies of scale. It's not just in tech, it's all other things as well. So yeah, that's why I warn people, like, don't, if you think prices are bad now, wait until a few years time.
All right, I guess transitioning a little bit. So, well, I guess on a different note. So you're in Japan currently, right, Brian?
Yes, and I'm dealing with the worst allergies, man. I hate it.
I'm sorry to hear that. Man, my wife and I visited there. I think it was 2015, and I cannot wait to go back, man. My son.
Dude.
Yeah, it's amazing. It was amazing when people say, what's your favorite place you've ever been? And I've been quite a few places. Japan is number one, man. I love it. And like everything I grew up on here, like I'm a 90s kid, everything I grew up on, everything is from Japan, from Pokemon to Dragon Ball, the Power Rangers, everything. So I love the culture there. And really, I'm just waiting for my son to be a little bit older so he can stand the flight, because it's a long flight. So
yeah, it's really good, dude. I love Japan. Full of intelligent people too. So really good place.
Yeah.
Do you like rent that year round? How does that work? Because you end up
this
in the
place
same
here. I own this place, man. The studio.
Nice.
Yeah, I got it like back just right as COVID was settling down. Prices were really cheap in Japan still. So USD wise, I would have bought this apartment. USD, it's a 3-bedroom. I converted it into like a 2 to make a big studio space.
Yeah.
And it would have been like USD wise, maybe like 45,000 USD.
Wow.
And it was renovated
That's
too.
crazy.
So it was all like, I didn't have to do anything. I just banged up this like studio sort of outfit wall and stuff, and that was like $150. So things were so cheap, but inflation did kick into gear here. But overall, it was extremely cheap. Like property is dirt cheap, man. Like this isn't even a deposit in Australia on a place. Like even an apartment.
Same in the US.
Yeah, it's ridiculous how expensive property is over in Australia. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, cool, I can have my own like whole studio over here. And
do you have a dual citizenship over there?
No.
You work on the visa.
I was here for a year, and then like, dude, I spoke to an accountant here, and I'm like, no, I'm out. Like it's just, or I'm already up to my wits' ends doing my accounting and taxes in Australia. And it's like, if you live here longer than 5 years, you then get taxed on all your stuff in Australia too. And that's going to be a nightmare for me, dude. I'm like, nah, man, I ain't doing that. Like, how's that even going to work? Well, they want a slice of my income in Australia. And then the Australian government wants a slice. Like who? Like so I was like, this is
who do you pay taxes to?
That doesn't make sense. Wow, that's awful.
Dude, it's some 5-year rule, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna get out before that, so I don't have to deal with any of this shit. Like I don't even know how it works,
dude. Actually, now that you say that, like, how does that work with YouTube? Because YouTube,
I don't even know, dude. I was just like, nah. Like I pay my taxes in Australia. I've got my business set up over in Australia, but
so you're just traveling.
Technically, I could speak to a really good accountant here, maybe just run it all through the business in Australia, and then have some sort of like, some sort of system going where it's just the business. And then, if you get even if I did personal income, it'd just be like, who wants the slice? And like, I thought you guys had a treaty or some shit. So it's just like, I read into it, and I'm like, man, this looks like an absolute nightmare if I stay here longer than 5 years. So
what do you have to do? You have to leave for like a year and come back, or what's the reset?
At the moment, I'm just a tourist, bro. I just like jump out, come back. Just like 3 months at a time, man. Do 3-month stints. I think as long as you're not here for the 6 months, as long as you're not here longer than 6 months in a year, they don't care.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. That's cool.
It's weird, and you can still own property. Like
that is strange.
That's very strange. They
got some strange laws over here, dude. I mean, I must admit the biggest thing they've cracked down on is like the bank accounts here. They've cracked down on it so hard. Like I couldn't even get my money out of here. It's so bad now. I'm like, I've got a bank account, all this stuff, and they're like, yep, but you can't send the money. I'm like, why? And it's like, well, you're not an actual resident. I'm like, okay, I didn't know I had to be a resident to send money via a bank account. So,
it's kind of wild.
I've already got the bank account. Like it's already in my name, everything opened up.
Wow.
Yeah, it's bizarre, dude. The whole thing was just they've cracked down a lot on that in particular. So there must be some kind of scheme going on here. I don't even know, but yeah.
Let's talk YouTube a little bit. So my goal is to eventually do this full time. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. Working really hard. Burning.
Wrong attitude. Wrong attitude.
Wrong attitude.
Let's
Okay.
fix that. Let's fix that.
Let's fix that.
Yeah,
okay.
my goal is to be a full-time YouTuber, and I'm going to get there.
Gonna get there. I appreciate it.
Sooner than later.
I appreciate it. Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, positive vibes. I like it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So, okay. So tell me a little bit about your flow, man. Like, do you have an editor or do you do everything yourself?
Do everything myself. And the main reason for that is Australia is too expensive to get talent for, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'd be looking at 100,000 Aussie a year for decent talent to get someone to edit videos like reliably and not be an absolute slop. And so that kind of money is too much out of the budget for what it is. You know what I mean? It's like,
I understand.
And then I see people like Toasty Bros and stuff. They got factories in the US. They got like all these employees. I'm like, man, if only if I was in the US.
Yeah, dude, the Toasty Bros thing is weird. I don't even know how they maintain anything.
Well, they're in Kentucky. Like from what I hear, like some of my friends on the Discord are in Kentucky, and they're like, yeah, Kentucky's cheap, dude. Like you can get a factory for like 3,000 US a month. I'm like, are you kidding me, dude? You can't even get a factory in Oz that's like a small factory for like 3,000 a week.
Yeah,
like it's the costing. That's what I mean. The costing differential is so crazy.
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe I come to the US and go to Kentucky. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
they're pretty cool.
Well, if you ever come to the US, I'm definitely gonna meet up with you and hang out. I'll buy you lunch or something.
Yeah.
Or if I fly to Japan and you're still there, then we'll do that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I've actually looked into hiring an editor for myself because, you know, I'm husband, father, I work full time, burning the candle at both ends. And I am like really pushing myself. But I currently do everything myself. And I went through 3 different editors, and I know what you mean about good talent, man. I literally hired this guy and I recorded everything and I cut it. And I said, all you have to do is add B-roll. And then so if I say something, if you can find it, show it. I'm a big show, don't tell guy. That's my whole thing. If you watch my videos, you'll see my face for a little bit. So A-roll, B-roll, A-roll, B-roll. That's my whole thing. It's not that hard to follow. I said 40-70 or something like that. This guy went and got a picture of like a 30-70. And I'm like, dude, you can't.
That's what you get, bro. You get what you pay for.
I'm like, you can't do that. But see, the thing is, you talk about get what you pay for. Some of these guys want
they're expensive.
These guys are expensive, man. They like, dude, some of these guys want like $15 per minute of footage. So if your video is 10 minutes long, that's $150 for a video, man.
Yeah, bro. You just got done. Like,
and it's like, dude, that you can't.
There's no AdSense, no
revenue. Dude, he should have just put like a GTX 550 Ti or something up there and be like, like if you're gonna misplace it, you might as well do it
your video might get more popular because people are like, dude, that's not a. And they start typing.
I thought about that. Like that had crossed my mind. I'm like, you know, if I purposely do something wrong, everybody will comment about it, which increases engagement, which will push the video.
You know, people say, oh, YouTube's like, you know, all this skill and stuff. It's like, I think it's a bit of luck if you're getting pushed that hard. Like,
it's 50-50, man. I feel like if you're doing what I'm trying to do and what you have been doing, you know, you're definitely intentional with the content you make, right? But 100%, there are absolutely people that I have seen firsthand start channels after me, do what I feel to be a lot less work, a lot less quality, and just skyrocket the past me.
Yeah.
And anyway, so yeah, that's
don't be demoralized from that or whatever. You just keep going, man. Like that's the main thing. Like I keep doing what I do, man. I don't really care. Like it's just I stay in my lane, I do my thing. Don't really care about it.
You know what the appeal of your channel was when I first found it? And it was probably like, I don't know what year you started, but I started flipping PCs in like 2013. And I think I found your channel in like maybe 2015 or 16, dude.
That's when I found,
Yeah. I was like, this guy is like washing PCs down like a maid. Like the PC maid meets like the Matrix. Like, because your videos were so like different. I don't know. You're putting like music to like fast, like cleaning of PCs and stuff.
And I just didn't give a shit. See, before that, I was cleaning PC parts. Car parts. So I'm like, let's just try the method that we were using on car parts on PC.
Yeah, using like brake cleaner and stuff.
Yeah, let's just give it a roll. And it all worked. I'm like, sweet. Like
Yeah,
I didn't really doubt it wouldn't work because I was using it on the car part electronics.
Yeah.
And they were still working, you see? So that's why people are like, well, how did you find this out? I'm like, well, yeah, because I just used to spray down like airflow meters, especially. You know, an airflow meter on a car?
Yep.
If you sprayed that down with brake cleaner, it would make it work like brand new again because it was just all clogged and they'd chucked them out.
MAF, the
MAF
sensor.
yeah, you guys call them a MAF, yeah. So they'd be the airflow meters, you would just spray them down, get rid of all the gunk on them, and then they'd work absolutely perfect again.
Yeah.
And so I realized from there, I was like, okay, well, maybe PC parts will be a similar story. So I started doing my thing, and sure enough, like the parts looked brand new, and we just had a lot of fun and made a bit of money.
Yeah, that was like, especially during the beginning of like the COVID time, man. It was like me and my friend Vu, we would just go and buy, like, Harvard closed down and they had 30 Optiplex systems, and we just went and bought them all, and then just we're putting them in new cases all the time, and it was like just flipping them, and that kind of stuff was like, I don't know, it was really fun, giving people some good deals too. We were never like ripping people off either. We're like, here, this is a Dell Optiplex and a new PC case. It's $100 more than what you'll usually pay, plus the video card or whatever else, you know. And made some good money on it. And it was pretty fun. I wish I was recording videos back then, because I would have probably been.
It's a lot of fun, dude. It's a heap of fun. Yeah, that's the main thing. 2017 was the best with Fortnite. Like, that was just insane. And PUBG started up. Fortnite came in. It was just like an absolute like PC
golden era for
fest.
sure.
Yeah. And not many people were doing it too back then. Like, not many people were really into it. So it was,
I know,
like,
everyone does it now. It's like I see on Facebook like
saturated.
Flipper. Yeah.
It's,
like
it's saturated,
15.
dude. You get the, like, even on the Gold Coast, I used to know a few people. Like, one of them's deceased now, unfortunately, but they would just sit there all day on Facebook, like F5, 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 like just waiting for something to come up. And it's like, as soon as it comes up, bang, they're on it. I'm like, you know, I got to do, like, guys, I got to parts hunt once a month, you know?
Yeah, I know. Like, give me some parts, damn it.
Yeah, leave some for me. Like, leave some for
that's
me,
frustrating.
please. So that's why I'll usually now parts hunt on just a weird day of the week, and I'll start at like 5 in the morning because a lot of these guys are up till like 3 a.m. So I've got it's
a bit of a struggle over in Japan, huh? I've noticed, like,
Japan at the moment, Japan's moving away from Tokyo and getting back to the country again. Like, it's kind of going through that phase again where Tokyo's just like, I think Tokyo's getting bought up a lot too by tourists, especially like Chinese tourists, for instance. They'll just buy up all the stuff, bring it back to China, make a tidy profit over there.
Yep.
CPUs are kind of not worthwhile here at the moment, except some select few models. You're better off just going with AliExpress.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, there's really, the game at the moment's really distorted from this whole GPU silicon shortage for gamers, artificial shortage for sure.
Yeah, I think that was actually kind of one of our topics we were going to talk about.
Okay, let's go straight into it, man, because I've only got about 15 minutes because the
missus
is like,
all right.
She's just like, you've got to get to this thing today. I've got to go to some like in Japan, they prepare funerals before they even die. Like, it's weird. Like, her mom's still in full fine health. Like, her mom's in like completely fine health. It's just like they've got to get her funeral thing ready in advance. I'm just like, what? Okay,
no worries, man. Yeah, we can definitely talk about it. So you were talking about GPU shortage, and it's artificial, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we kind of touched on it in the beginning a little bit, but like, I was gonna say, like, how much of it do you think is just Nvidia pulling a Nintendo right now?
So what it is, right, is like the crux of it is, I'm going to go real in depth into a video about, like, and what I said in one of my videos is Nvidia is now the victim of its own success.
Yeah.
And that couldn't be truer, right? Same with AMD. The AMD sort of pulled a bit of a stunt here. It's like half stunt, half actual. It works, right? Delay the stock, just drop a massive day one, have much more people that can get access to one that really wants one.
Yeah.
Nvidia should have done the same, knowing, like, okay, scalpers are out there in full force as well. I think this time around with the AMD cards, scalpers would have got less in proportion to actual people. I think that would have been a thing. So, and that's what you definitely want. You've got here this problem where there's the companies they have no choice. They have to allocate the silicon to the AI bros. That's the problem. They have to. They have no choice. Even Jensen wants to allocate more silicon to gamers. And you can see, go back to his CES presentation. You can see he knew. Look how unpassionate he was that time. He's like, yeah, like
he put the leather jacket on.
549. Yeah, but it was all show. Like you could see his passion was just not the same as if you go back to his 1080 Ti presentation, for instance. Just a night and day difference, dude.
Yep.
Night and day difference. Look at how passionate he was. Less money, way less status back then, but way more passion. This time around, he knew what was going to happen with the 5000 series launch. You know, 5000 series launch, 549. It's going to be 450, like. He just wasn't passionate at all because he knew there's going to be a massive shortage for gamers, and he had no say about it. Even him, the CEO of the company, has zero say about it. That should be a reality check. People are like, oh, Jensen's greedy and all this. It's like, no, Jensen's now a victim in his own company that he built up. That's the reality of it. And it's hard to grasp, but in my video, I'll go into exactly why it is. It goes back to like the early 1900s, dude, in actual law. He can't do anything about it. And so the silicon has to get allocated to the AI bros. It has to.
Yeah.
And that's the bottom line. AMD's no different, dude. They can sit there and say, oh, yeah, we're going to restock these cards. It's going to be less stock than the RX 7000 series, I tell you that. So, yeah, and that's why they only focused on one model. So they did some smarter decisions within that. It's like, hey, let's just release one model knowing what's going to happen. And let's make it more of a bang on day one.
Gotcha.
And
I will say I definitely agree about the stock thing. AMD got clowned a lot because they were going to announce that CES and then they canceled it, and everybody's like, oh, look, they're renaming to match Nvidia. Then they canceled, and
I was guilty of that too because I didn't know the gravity of the situation back then.
Right,
I didn't understand the situation, but as the new information came to light,
for sure, 100%. No, for sure, 100%. And I mean that's what we do. I mean, we just kind of react to the news we have at hand. But of course, 6 months later, or 3 months later, or whatever it is, you always get more information, and then hindsight becomes 2020. But I think looking back, because at the time I didn't say anything publicly, but I was in my Discord talking to people. I'm like, yeah, this is looking pretty bad. It's just, the slogan that some of my friends have is AMD never misses an opportunity to miss an opportunity.
Yeah, that's what it was. That's the bang one.
But I'll say this, launch day came, and I know here in my local area, I'm in Georgia. I have 2 micro centers, and both of them had hundreds of people in line, and everybody got a card. Everybody got a card. Anybody who wanted a card got a card. My local micro center still has cards. They only have 9070s. They don't have XTs. But if you wanted a card, you got a card. Whereas I went to the Nvidia launch at my micro center. I got there. There's over 100 people in line. It's freezing cold outside. People have tents. And some of those people walked away without cards. And that's got to suck, man, because some of those people were camping for at least a day, some longer, you know.
Like
and
so you look on the flip side, dude, in Japan, no one got cards here. It was like some lottery system, but there wasn't much stock at all. Like there wasn't a regular release. Dude, it was just like, so yeah, there was clearly AMD allocated more stock to Micro Center to more like, and this is what I like in my last video. A lot of the comments are like, yeah, it looks like Micro Center got most of the stock.
Yeah.
Just for the advert. AMD's smart. Well, AMD's marketing did really smart. They were really smart this time. They did the whole PR stunt too. Like everyone got you're there being an advocate for it too, right?
Yeah.
Ask the guys in Europe. They're like, I couldn't even get one of these things. Like it was the same refresh the browser out of stock.
Yeah.
So it depends on where you are in the world, but it looks like AMD focused mainly on the US and getting the day one experience for people in the US, right?
Yeah, it does seem that way.
Yeah, and that way, as I said, this time around, their marketing team, brilliant, dude. Got to hand it to them. They didn't miss the opportunity this time around. They took the opportunity and learned from it. It's actually really good.
Yeah.
Because now all those dudes in the US, they probably got the loudest voices online too. They're going to be like, I got my card. I got my card, dude. I got my card. So
yeah,
that was why Danny was kind of upset about it too, because he's like, hey man, we don't get that stuff up here in Canada.
Okay, so Danny's reviews is in Canada. Yeah, well, he's going to have the different experience. He's going to be like, hit the browser, refresh, gone. I didn't even see one I didn't even see a store list one in Japan. That's how bad it was, except in PCs.
Yeah. I don't know. I want better launches. I mean, even after the Nvidia launch, I even made a video. I never do rants. I never do rant types, but I actually made a rant video, and it was just called, GPU launches need to be better. And they do. And I understand partially why they're not, because of the hype generation and all of that stuff. If everybody wants a card and can't get it,
then it makes people mad, but it also still makes people want the card. To this day, my micro center, I go and I talk to people there. I'm close to a couple of the employees there. They'll tell you to this day, over a month after the 5090 launch, every morning, they still have people lining up, waiting for them to open the door just so they can say, hey, did you get a truck today? Is there a 5090? And I actually had a friend the other day show up. He was number 2 in line. Yeah. Well, no, my actual friend went. I texted you this in the Discord. Yeah, he got the Gigabyte 5090. He paid $2,800 for it, but he got it. He was number 2. Yeah. He was number 2 in line. It was a Gigabyte and it had the 360 radiator on it. And he knew the moment they said, well, you got one card and it's a Gigabyte with a 360 radiator. He's like, I got it, because nobody else can fit that in their system. But he has like one of those case lab cases that's like really big.
Yeah. So, even then he could just go on eBay and make a fucking like $1,000 profit, man. Like, so
if he wants to, yeah.
It's just like that guy just made money because there's an over demand right now. So the problem falls back to, of course, the companies not being able to get the silicon for the gamers. But there's a greater problem at play here, and that's ultimately all this investment going into AI. Where's it coming from, right? I beg the question of where it's coming from. Yeah, some of it's coming from the private sector, but for sure. But who's funding the private sector? And see, this starts to go real deep because it's governments, dude. Governments are buying up all the AI. Now, you're paying taxes. So basically, the irony of it is you're paying taxes to raise the prices of your GPUs. Let that sink in.
Got to start that second channel, Brian. Economics, man.
Like, it's just
economics.
Yeah. So if you want to rant, like, we should all be ranting at governments right now because they're so inefficient. They just waste our money.
Yep.
And really, like, I'm employing someone in Australia. 25% of my work goes 3 months of the year. I'm working for the government, and I'm in the private sector. Right? Let that make sense too. And it's like once we all start banding together and realize what the real problem is, it's only when we can fix it. And so much money is wasted from governments now. And it's just like you can't hide it anymore because it's becoming more apparent with, again, economies of scale reaching peak. All these things just peaking out right now.
Yeah.
Problem. It's like, how do you go forward in life and standard of living goes down? That shouldn't be happening as technology progresses, right? But it is.
Yep.
So
I do agree. I don't feel like we are where we should be. I remember
exactly, dude.
I remember growing up in the 90s and hearing all these predictions about what the future would be like.
Flying cars.
And it's just like I don't feel like we are where we should be by any means at all. I know you're low on time. One more question for you, if you don't mind. Just one quick question. So what makes you the happiest in the PC space? Like I want to end on a positive note. So
use parts. Yeah. No one in the community cares about no one's opinionated in terms of you're this, you're that. I don't get called any names. It's just all bros like looking to have fun in the used parts sector. Dude. Like even if someone has a different opinion about what's better value, they're so respectful about it, dude. It's just like the amount of disrespect in the new parts is just insane. It's like you got to deal with this crap. Now, I want to deal with it because I want to know the value of new parts versus used parts. For me, it's like a learning phase. Yeah. And so along the way, of course, I'm doing the results, sharing my opinions and videos. But yeah, new parts is just stressful, man. Trying to give out like what you think is an objective opinion, and you just get like all this crap for it. I mean, I'm pretty immune to it, but it's just miserable. Like at the end of the day, I don't want to do it. I just want to be doing used parts.
I hear you. I'm definitely becoming immune to it.
You do.
Yeah, you got to, and I got into PC gaming and building and all that. And I remember coming over here thinking, because I was leaving a whole life of console behind. I grew up a console gamer. Anyway, long story short, I just remember thinking I'm finally getting away from the fanboy wars and the console wars. I'm good now, right? Because everybody knows that PC's the GOAT, so we're good now. And then you just fall into the AMD versus Intel, AMD versus Nvidia, and it's never good enough. And
dude. Yep.
And I got my first review sample, Asus sent me an ROG Astral, and I was happy about it. I was grateful. I was like, oh, wow, I'm actually starting to kind of grow my channel a little bit. And you would think the people that have been watching me for however long would be grateful. Like, look at E-Rock coming up in the world. Instead, I get the exact opposite. Like I literally had people leaving comments like, I can't even buy the card. How is a YouTuber with 26,000 subs?
How dare you, dude? How dare you? Okay, that's it. Like, just say, boys, let's get back to communism. Okay, let's go.
It's just
go there, right?
It's bad. But anyway, Brian, we appreciate you coming on, man.
Everybody gets a 550 Ti. Okay, guys.
Yeah,
550 Ti.
Yeah, that's what happens. Communism,
Ti.
guys. We need to bring it back, right? Don't bother about a new 4070 or anything. Just everyone gets a 550 Ti.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
That's
Gotcha.
it.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Well,
I
yeah,
mean,
Brian.
I know the struggles you're going through, boys. Like, it's just at the end of the day, that's why you just keep going on. Like,
persevere, hang in there,
on, dude. Yeah, like just drop your negative comment down below, and I'll post and ghost. See you later.
Post and ghost.
That's it, man.
Post
See you
and
later,
ghost.
boys. Post and ghost. That's what a lot of people do nowadays when there's just so much controversy in that that field. Post and ghost.
You don't even see any responses from the
comments. Just
I had one of my subscribers tell me, he's like, you respond too much to comments. You need to just stop and move on.
I'll do when it gets too much upvotes and too much, like, if there's too much on that thread in particular, I'll respond. Like, especially when people are calling you a shill, like, this is why you're a shill. It's like, okay, all right, well, I got to correct this guy. Sure, man.
Absolutely.
All
right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Brian. Hey, Taekwondo, if you don't mind, hang out for a minute.
But
you guys
go for it. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, but Brian, man, I appreciate you, man. I'm working on an app. When it's done, you'll be getting an email from me for a free copy of it, and you can check it out.
All right, brother. An app. Right. Sweet. Is that what you do for a living? Like, you program?
I do work in software, and I designed it, but I outsourced it because I don't have the time to write it. But I am doing all the quality assurance testing myself. But I'll send it over to you. It's like a game launcher, like console interface for PC. But I'll send it to you.
All right, brother. Yeah, cool. Keen to check it out, man. All right,
no
thanks,
problem,
guys. Thanks,
Brian.
If you guys need anything, just hit me up too. Okay.
Will do. Thank you, buddy.
Man. See you. All right, thanks, boys. I'll catch you. All right.
Bye.